this is so creepy, but like, sorry for the background noise, I'm on the toilet. But, the cops were like intentionally forcing me to do all these weird sex slave stuff because that's called entrapment. So that's what they were being, it's called coercion, threats, harassment. It's entrapment what they were doing, and they thought that if they entrap me, that means that they have enough evidence for me so that they can send me to prison because they didn't do their jobs right the first time. That's called like that's literally word for word what every police officer's reason for entrapment is. They didn't do their job right, so now it's somebody else's fault, and if you can make it look like that, then obviously they're gonna send to prison. Except that's what narcissistic personality disorder is. Yeah, that's NPD. When people have narcissistic personality disorder, they have a difficult time understanding that you can't just force people to do things your way just so you can have other people think like you, and it's always through criminal activity. Unlike actual criminals who would do that because that's just how they go about doing things. And unlike, it's just weird. Honestly, I'm like, they even forced me to go to this website called Black Therapy, and I don't know why the police officers made a website for therapy when they were just using that as an excuse to report all the therapy that they were saying online and filing it as evidence. I'm like, were you bullying people online and got arrested for that? And you didn't think it was fair the other officers got arrested for something illegal that they did online because cybercriminal is a real thing. And people do get sent to prison for getting engaged in cybercriminal activities. Just because it's online doesn't make it any less criminal. Like, I just don't really understand what their point is when they were doing that. Like, you think it's okay to use people who may actually need those services as an excuse to try to send them to prison? Why? Because you don't feel good about yourself, because you made mistakes at work and now people hate you for it. So your reasoning is that you have to make sure that everyone else gets sent to prison because there's no way that person is actually innocent and you just said something different and stupid. I mean, you just thought something different and said something stupid. Like, literally makes no sense what they're saying. It's so boring. I'm like, okay, so you did something stupid and other people saw you do that or can see that you're that type of person, and instead of apologizing for it like you're supposed to, your response is to humiliate, embarrass. Well, your intention is to humiliate, embarrass, and harass the person that you made a mistake with, because that means that that person's a bad person and not you. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're saying that the only reason that anyone ever did anything is because nobody's ever, like, what are you saying? Like, there's no such thing as innocent people. Everyone's guilty of something, and there's no way you couldn't tell that. There's no way to tell anything, and it's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault. So if you just make it look like that, or you think it looks like that, that means something else. I don't really understand what it is that they're trying to tell me. Every time I go by what they're saying and what they're doing, it just causes problems. I don't know why, but it's at the same time, it's like I can't really do anything else because they're literally harassing me and intentionally telling me the wrong things, and have actually arrested me despite the fact that I haven't actually done anything. Especially if one of them actually gets life sentencing for a crime that they're involved in. So every time there's more evidence against what they did, they get angry at me because I'm the victim, and they continue to target me and harass me. And I'm like, does that make sense to anyone? Literally, like, you think that's okay to do to other people, and that everyone thinks it's okay because you're only gonna do it to that person. It doesn't affect who you are and how you treat other people. Obviously, it does. Unless you're a legitimate criminal, then yeah, it doesn't really affect them. That's just how they go about doing things. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of like, you're telling me that I look exactly like a murderer, like a serial killer who kills people for no reason. Because they think they get to dictate who lives and dies. Right? And I'm just like, okay, I'm already falling asleep thinking about this. It's really boring. I'm just like, oh god. There's some idiot guy and he's like threatening me or something. I don't fucking know what he's saying. And he got mad at me because of the fact that people from his country fucked up. So it's my fault. And I'm like, okay, I don't really understand how that's my fault. If I'm the victim of a crime in which you were involved in and you were directly benefiting off of. It's called selling your soul. People do that all the time. And they're like trying to get back at me because they're saying like, you have to be just like the people that you're hurting. And I'm like, I'm not hurting anyone. You're literally hurting me right now. And they're like, no, we're not the ones hurting you, it's other people. And I'm like, okay. And they were trying to justify it by saying like, when you're mentally ill, you were hurting other people too. And I was like, yeah, that's called discrimination. That's literally what discrimination is. Like, it's kind of weird that you're telling me that for whatever reason you didn't think I was normal because I had an illness or something, or I was getting treated. So you think like everyone who has that illness is exactly the same and has illnesses for no, like, it's just, I'm really like confused, I guess, about what it is that they're asking of me when they're like, oh, so don't you care about la la. I'm like, it's not like I don't care, but like you keep accusing me of picking fights with you when I didn't do that. Literally, I didn't pick a fight with you, I didn't say anything, and then you keep accusing me of doing things that I didn't even do, and then you end up calling the police, which turns out the police were actually involved in why they were responding that way. So the police have to be directly involved in the situation for no reason other than just to tell me that I'm the bad person there. It's weird what they're saying.